Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live. It's so nice to see all of your smiley faces. How's everybody doing today? Nice to see you guys. Hope you had a good holiday weekend. For those that are watching live, we just got through Memorial Day holiday weekend. For those who are watching this 6 months later from the live episode, none of that matters. Hope you guys are doing well. This is our Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show series. We started many moons ago with hundreds and hundreds of episodes that you could binge watch and enjoy. We always have a good time on the Jim Masters Show Live because we're very interactive. We're here for you to entertain, inspire, inform, to connect with all of you. And that's one of the reasons why I started this series back when I did over 2 years ago and some 700 episodes ago now, which is amazing. If you guys would like to interact with us during the live show, you can. We've got an extraordinary guest that's coming up in just a second from Los Angeles, California. He's going to play live music because I know you see on the screen it says UFO investigator. Believe it or not, he is that. He's an expert UFO investigator. We're going to talk about all that, but he's also a prolific singer, songwriter, and guitarist. And he's going to sprinkle in several fabulous songs live with his guitar. Earl Grey Anderson is joining us here on the Jim Masters Show Live. We're so excited to have him here. He's really incredible. He is MUFON State Director of Southern California. It's an active member of MUFON's ERT. That's the Experience Resource Team, the Experiencer Resource Team, heading up all of the Experiencer events and panels at this year's symposium. Earl has personally investigated over 700 UFO reports and specializes in Experiencer High Strangeness cases. He's appeared on multiple radio shows and podcasts, television shows such as Unidentified with Demi Lovato, also the Travel Channel's Storming Area 51 special, and the season finale of Motor Trend Television's Motor Mythbusters, Cars versus UFOs as well. He also teaches too, which I think is fantastic, an accredited course in ufology at Los Angeles' Otis College of Art and Design. He's a native of Southern California, also known as a published singer, songwriter, guitarist with 3 CDs under his belt, a recently retired nurse, having finished a 36-year-long stretch of caring for quadriplegics as well as vent-dependent patients. Beautiful work. He always dotes on his 3 children and 3 grandchildren as well, living happily with his wife, Lisa. His 2 cats, Gigi and Thor. And as I mentioned, he's got some extraordinary. He's also a writer for magazines, lots of great articles, and so much more. We're going to talk a lot about it. Again, as much as he is a singer, songwriter, and guitarist, and again, he's poised in Los Angeles with his guitar. He's going to entertain us. He's a fantastic guest exclusively here on the Jim Masters Show Live. He's also going to talk about his experiences investigating UFOs, which is really fascinating. We're going to learn so much. So this episode that's coming at you today is jam-packed with a lot of different information and entertainment and a lot of different directions we're going to go in, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And that's what we do on our show. You know, we have something for everybody. Every episode is something different, unique. We're not the run-of-the-mill assembly line factory type show. We don't call this an interview show. None of this is scripted. None of that canned stuff. We're live. We're here. We're interactive. Everything is comfortable and warm and inviting, and we have a really, really good time with all of you. Hey, gang, if you would like to comment live during the show, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click that red button that you see there. It's easy. There's no cost. It's right there on our YouTube channel. All our episodes, it's at the heading of our YouTube channel. If you're on our YouTube channel right now, which is what you are on as you're watching this, click the red button so you can be a subscriber. No cost for that. And make sure you also give this episode and all the episodes of the Jim Masters Show series a big hearty thumbs up. You'll see a little icon there on the YouTube channel for all the episodes. Give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Please drop a comment underneath the episode so we can also react and we can also chat with you when the show's not live. A lot of people leave some fabulous comments on our YouTube channel under all the episodes. We would absolutely love that. That means the world to us. So For those of you that would like to right now chat, and I'm looking at the chat room, and there's a lot of comments there already. We welcome all of you, everybody, our regular lovities, as well as new folks who are discovering the Jim Masters Show live today. We're going to have a good time. We welcome everybody. If you would like to comment right now in the chat room, the JMS chat room, it's open, it's available. And when you subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's an exclusive just for the subscribers. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, no cost. You can chat. We can see your comments. We'll show some of them on the screen. And don't forget, if you want to support what we're doing here, many of you ask, how can we support all these episodes, all this content, all this work that you do, Jim? And it's not even your day job. I work in television and radio professionally in the daytime. And then I come here and I turn the lights on, kind of like Mr. Rogers. You know, he had his day thing, and then he came in and changed from the sweater to the sport coat, that whole thing. I guess I'm kind of like that in a way. Superman, Clark Kent kind of thing. And then I come here and I do this show for all of you, and I love it. But again, if you'd like to comment, that is available for you guys right now in our JMS lovely chat room there, which is really cool. So with all of that said, this is such a monster show. We have all these things that we want to share with all of you. It is my pleasure to welcome live and direct, poised again with his guitar in tow, the incomparable singer, songwriter. I bet you never heard this combination before. Singer, songwriter, guitarist, musician extraordinaire, and UFO investigator, all under one roof. And here he is. Here's Earl Grey Anderson joining us on the Jim Masters Show live. Earl, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. What a nice introduction. I appreciate all that.
The pleasure is
We've got
all
a
mine.
Virtual smorgasbord of various and sundry topics to go through. So all set for you here.
Well, again, I'm so excited to have you here, and we welcome you to the Jim Masters Show live. And you're coming to us from Los Angeles. How's the weather? I mean, it's stunning here. Well, stunning. Earlier it was like 94 degrees. We got like a heat wave going on here on the East Coast. We're in the New York, New England area, Northeast, and it's pretty hot. But right now it's nice. It's about 65, sunny. Got the AC going. How about you there in California, in LA?
Air conditioners going. It's nice, but a little warm, a little bit on the hot side. But
Yeah.
It's shirt sleeve environment, shorts. And it's always like that here. We got rain maybe twice this year, and it wasn't much. It's just a sprinkle. So
it's nice. Yeah.
Such
nice
as Los
stuff.
Angeles.
Such as LA. Absolutely. So welcome to the show, my friend. It's so nice to have you here. Everybody's all excited. I'm excited. And it's really fascinating, as we were building this episode and creating this, there's a ton of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to create the actual episodes so they can happen live. And in doing that, I was just fascinated by, the cool things that you do in your background and this wonderful marriage of UFO investigator and singer, songwriter, guitarist, as well as educator, nurse. I mean, all of these incredible things. For you, out of all of it, what came first? What was first for you?
God, they all kind of came together in many ways.
Did they really?
As far as the music goes, my dad he was a classically trained vocalist, and he was the guy that would be one of the soloists during like Handel's Messiah, or Missa Solemnis by Beethoven, or Bach's St. Matthew Passion. I mean, he would always be walking around, doing the Verdi areas,
run the house. Yeah.
But there was always music, and it was just natural to go that way. Now, my mom she worked in theater. She worked with a theater group called the Turnabout Theater in Santa.
Do you freeze up there? I think you froze up there, Earl. You got a nice shot there. Yeah. Yep. There you go. You froze up there sort of a little bit, but it was a good shot. You were smiling. It wasn't, a lot of times when we freeze, we're like, it's always a weird thing like that, but you froze at a good point. You were like, hey.
Oh no. Could you hear the audio, what I was saying?
A little bit. You're starting to talk about your mother.
Yeah, she worked in a theater group in Santa Monica called the Turnabout Theater. And one of her
Oh
friends
yeah,
was this
yeah.
young girl named Odetta Farias was her last name. And of course, that was the Odetta, who was the amazing singer, songwriter, kind of folk
Hmm.
and blues, with Froggy Went to Courtin and all that good stuff. And
Yes.
she actually was in our kitchen when I was 4 years old visiting my mom, and she brought her guitar and she sat down in our kitchen and she played Froggy Went a Courtin'. I was
Really?
about 4 years old.
You
And
remember it?
yeah, well, I remember that she let me touch her hair. I guess that,
Oh,
what
that
can I
was.
say?
We had
Yeah.
neighbors across the street. I remember my friend's mother. She was from New York City. I believe she was Italian, but her husband, their dad, was from Canada and I believe French. So they used to sing. It was the first time I ever heard that song, Frere Jacques, Frere Jacques, da da da. Da, 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 da. I don't remember how the rest goes, but Frere Jacques, I remember hearing that. It's amazing the things that you hear as a kid that still stick with you. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it just seemed very natural what she did. I mean, she just planted herself down with a guitar, and it was like this other world that she
Yeah.
created, and
Right.
and it was immersive. And for a little kid that was just, kind of not even in kindergarten yet, it was this amazing thing, and it really stuck with me. and
Yeah.
and so that probably came first, but the UFO stuff was really close because, again, my mom, she was kind of an influence in a couple of things. My mom worked for Howard Hughes back in the 1950s, and
Oh,
she had
yeah.
a very high security clearance. She was one of his two secretaries. He had two private secretaries. My mom was one of them. And he
Wow.
sent her out on sort of some crazy assignments. She went out, she told the story when I was 5 years old, where she went out to the desert and there was this bunker kind of thing. It was locked up. It just looked like a concrete shack. She said she had like security guys with her, and she didn't say what desert it was. But they went to this shack, and there was an elevator, and this thing kept going down. This is like 1956, 55. And the elevator, she thought it would go down a couple of floors, and she was getting butterflies in her stomach, was how she described it. She felt vertigo because the
Mm.
elevator just kept going.
Was
And
it
she
going
said it was a
fast or was it descending fast or was
it
it?
went fast and it went
Mm.
far. And she said that it
Mm.
was a mile beneath the desert floor, and that they had a secret base that they had built in a
Wow.
cave system that was under the desert.
Under the desert.
Um,
Must have been
and she
cold
talked.
too.
No, it was again shirt sleeve environment. She said that there were a lot of rocket scientists that worked there. A lot of the guys that we got through Operation Paperclip, I later on found out.
Mm.
After World War II, we acquired a lot of the German rocket scientists. And so she said they would get around in little golf carts, that they had a movie theater, that they had, little cafes. And she used to tell a story where she had laughed that they had these little yellow umbrellas over the tables in this one cafe, like a French cafe. And she laughed because she said, well, you don't need an umbrella in a cave. And she just, they obviously did that to make people feel at home. And I guess
Yeah.
that they stayed down there for long periods of time. But my mom also talked about extraterrestrial life as though it were a given,
Mm.
as though we already knew that this was a thing. And again,
Yes.
it wasn't like detailed, but she let me know that. Later on, like in 1977, she really went into that and told me that no, we know that they're out there. That Star Wars is not that far fetched, son. And she said, it's realer than you will ever know. The government will never share this with the public because they're afraid of how people would react. I don't know what you would think about the congressional hearings we just had, because it looks like they are finally telling us at least a little bit. But that's how I got interested in music and how I got interested in ufology. So thanks, Mom, and thanks, Pop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So as a kid, were you watching Outer Limits, Night Gallery, The Twilight Zone,
When I got
Hitchcock,
a little
just a lot of
older.
different
Sure.
things? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You know, my mom told one story about when I was a little kid that I climbed up to the top of the swing set. That we had this wooden swing set that my dad put together that had monkey bars. And I built this reasonable facsimile thereof of a spaceship, at least for like a 4-year-old it was, a little control panel and stuff. And I was waving at the sky, and I remember this. I remember my mom going, "Who are you singing and waving to, Earl?" I said, "The space people, Mom. I'm singing and waving to this." And, you know, here I am, you know, 50 some years later, 60 some years later, actually. I said a birthday. We don't talk about that. I could sing that Beatles song, you know, when I'm 64 now.
That would have been a good time
2 days
to freeze
ago.
frame.
There you go.
Audio drop.
Yeah.
Hey,
but I'm still here singing and waving to the space people now, I guess. So there you go. Hi, Sheila. Yeah, somebody in chat.
Pam says she used to have nightmares of falling down the bottom of the elevator shaft. You know, they say that as far as dreams, a dream that's like one of the most common is one of falling off a cliff, falling off something, right? Yeah, I've had that a little bit too. And or I'm falling, or I feel like I'm falling, and then you just catch yourself. You know, you twitch in bed and you catch yourself. You almost wake up, but you actually feel like you fell.
I got a song to play for you. I have a song called "Falling Down" that I could play for you, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I wasn't planning on doing it. I hope I can remember it.
Yeah. We got some cool videos we're going to show too and everything. Oh, hey, good. Look, remember I told you about the show is Light, Love, Levity, and Lovity because I said Lovity too fast. You are already... It's what, a few minutes into the show, and you're already dubbed the Jim Master Show Lovity, my friend, by Jen Barry and the mountains of Allentown, Pennsylvania. She's dubbed you a Lovity. Kind of cool.
My wife is from Philly, Pennsylvania.
She's from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So she knows where to get a good cheesesteak and
yeah.
Acidity, brotherly love. Did you want to play something?
Sure, I could.
Did you want to kick right in? Sure.
Why not? Why not?
I told the audience, and
let's see if I can do this song.
Earl and I were chatting. We would before, you know, sometimes when we have a musical guest, we do a sound check, which is, you know, basically checking the sound. That's why they call it that. And we were talking about, well, there's such a myriad of incredible things to talk about from his background as a singer, songwriter, and a musician, as well as the UFO investigator and other things as well too. But specifically, you know, this combination of the UFO, you know, investigator and the singer, songwriter, musician. And so we're going to sprinkle in elements of each. We're going to weave it in through the conversation. I think it'll keep it nice and fresh too, which is nice. What's the song that you want to do for us?
This is a song I wrote some years ago called "I'm Falling Down." So let's see here. Sometimes I get so close to the edge, and I feel like I am falling down a road that's more like a ledge, and I feel like I am falling. I'm falling down, and I can't catch myself. I'm falling down, I'm crying for help. I'm falling down, and I can't resist the headlong pull of the darkness. I'm falling down. I've been kicking at the walls of a lucid dream, and I feel like I am falling, where I'm forced to fight the Fisher King, and I feel like I have fallen. Ooh, I'm falling down, and I can't catch myself. I'm falling down, crying for help. I'm falling down, and I can't resist the headlong pull pool of the darkness, I'm falling down. And I know the wild topography of the badlands of your heart. And I'd go back where I used to be, but I don't know where to start. It's very hard. I'm falling down and I can't catch myself. I'm falling down, crying for help. I'm falling down, and I can't resist the headlong pull of the darkness. The headlong pull of the darkness. Headlong pull, I'm falling down, down, down.
Very nice, my friend. Very nice. A standing ovation from Jim Masters and our studio audience watching around the world, the Lovity audience. Really, really great. That's a terrific song. Tell us about the backstory of that song a little bit.
Gosh, I don't know. I just kind of, that's one that just sort of came out of nowhere. I actually had a dream, like you were talking about, where I was running away from this creature thing and, just kind of kicking at doors at the top of this stairway of this tower kind of place. And I was able to kick the door open, and then I woke up and that song came out. And I think I wrote the song like 3 a.m. Yeah, it's like woke me up and wrote the song. Yeah.
That's a very cool thing. I mentioned a couple of times, a friend of mine who was a screenwriter used to be very inspired at nighttime when the house was quiet, when the phones weren't ringing, when there was nothing to check on computers and nowhere to go. He would wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and go right to his, at that time, typewriter. He'd go right to the typewriter, always have a piece of paper in it too, ready to go, and just go typing away and creating these incredible screenplays and movie scripts and all kinds of stuff, short stories. And he would be inspired when it was quiet, when the noise of life was off. That's when he would, and coming out of a dream. Somebody else too that we had, and I've referenced this a couple of times on this series, Melissa Manchester was a wonderful guest on the show, and she's fantastic. And she mentioned something about songwriting process for her, and some of the things that inspire her. And I think it was such an epic conversation. I invite folks, if you want to see it, it's on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. You can see the full epic conversation when Melissa Manchester, music legend, was with us. But she said something to the effect, and I wonder if it works for you too. It sounds like it does. The inspirations can come from anywhere at any moment. So for her, she could be walking from one side of the house to the other. She could be waking up after sleep. Whatever it is, when she's inspired, she needs to get right to the piano and right to the recorder, press record, and start playing on the piano and working out whatever is filtering through her, whatever that energy is, whatever that aha moment is that's filtering through her. She's recording it, and the reel to reel or whatever's going, and she's working it out on the piano. You find that happens for you as well? Inspiration hits you and you got to get to the instrument or what have you and start capturing it before it becomes fleeting?
You have to. I find that if I don't immediately get it, an idea down on tape or on paper, it leaves. It's the way that you forget your dreams the next morning. But if you write it down, and I do the same thing with a little tape recorder. I used to have the little mini cassettes. And of course, now we all have the little audio memo app. And I'll use that if I'm driving somewhere and I get an idea. I'll just sing it right into the phone, and then I have it. But if I wait for later, then the magic goes away and you don't catch that little pearl.
Yes.
So it's like a ritual around writing. Most things of worth, they have their little rituals.
What are some of the things that do inspire you? Obviously, things can just come out of the blue like that, but I would imagine that you are just like a painter or writer or any of us who are lean creative. You observe life, you're noticing it, you're feeling it, you're paying attention to it. It affects you, and you soak it all up, and then somehow it either builds up to the point of gotta get this worked out in an artistic form, or something will come out of left field that's so astronomically incredible. Got to get that worked out in a artistic form as well. How does it work for you as far as some of the inspiration building leading to creation?
Anything can really lead to the inspiration of a song. I've had some songs that have just I'll play one for you guys where I was in a cafe late at night and some friends walked in, and we talked for a couple of seconds, and then they went their way, and I was just kind of watching the different people coming in, and it was that simple. It was just kind of writing about what I was seeing, but then it became something deeper. It sort of had a cosmic level to it as well. And you'll notice a lot of astronomical, things in my songs, and I'll talk about space time. I'll talk about it's like music isn't something separate from everything else that I do, and the same goes for my UFO investigations. In fact, the guy who recruited me for MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, which I'm state director of here in California, he's a musician, and we started talking. And when he found out that I was a guitar slinger and songwriter, he said, "I bet you'd make a really good, MUFON field investigator." And I took the test, and I studied the handbook, and I learned the ins and outs of it. And he started giving me cases, and I took to it like a fish to water. It was second nature to me, because you have to be able to, in ufology, sometimes things usually aren't sometimes they're real obvious. I mean, if a UFO is 30 feet away from you, spitting lights, and you're experiencing, time dilations and stuff, it. But a lot of times it's people that'll just write a sentence, and then they'll put in a UFO report. I saw something out near so-and-so, in this area. And then you get talking with them, and it's this big, huge, elaborate thing. And you kind of have to have intuition. You have to kind of go with your intuition. It's not unlike just coming up with a guitar solo in an improvisational situation. Same thing goes for ufology. There are books that you can study about it. I do teach a class in it. But a lot of it is, feet on the ground and getting your hands dirty, meeting people and hearing their stories, and that's where you learn it. And music is like that. Inspiration for songs, it's the same thing. You have to go by instincts. As soon as you think, oh, that's impossible, or that's silly, you've ruined the song. But if you go with it, and it will take you somewhere, more times than not. Very seldom will I write a song and then finish it and just go, oh, well, that's nothing. Usually I sort of believe in the idea of the Akashic record, that there's, that we're pulling things down from the universe when we create, that it's already there, but we kind of channel it, and it chooses us in a way, and it comes out with our style and with our specifications. And it's almost like variations on a theme back in classical music, where it'll be the same, maybe a piece by Mozart or whatever, but you'll get Schoenberg or some, abstractist, composer take it, and it'll go places that Bach never thought of. And that's the way it is, I think, with ufology and with music. It's already there. Just don't question it. Let it come through as it is, and you'll have something.
So with the music, how do you describe your style and the genre? Is it a particular style, or are you weaving in and out of various forms?
I grew up on Beatles and, Dylan and Joni Mitchell and a lot of acoustic people too, Gordon Lightfoot, Bruce Coburn from Canada. I love Bruce's music still, and still go out to see him when he plays. And so, a lot of it happens with the acoustic guitar, but I love to play electric, and I love to play in a band setting too. It's kind of a, conglomeration of various styles. But I'm always kind of you play the Beatles, I'm all ears.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So you also nurse too, huh?
Yeah, I just kind of hung up my stethoscope after 36 years, and I'm doing the UFOs full time now, as well as music full time. And so they call it retirement, but it's not, because I'm busier than I was when I was working my 40-hour job.
It's interesting how that works, doesn't it?
Yes.
One of our viewers, Maureen, was a nurse for many years and just retired too, and she's doing a lot of extra things since. So you would say now the ufology, that really is the dominance of your day, along with the singer, songwriter, musician, but the work in UFO investigations is pretty big. And you've worked on a national level. I mentioned the Travel Channel and other TV shows and documentaries and specials. How did that come about? Where then others that are doing shows and specials and documentaries and investigative reports found you, and they're like, hey, bring Earl Grey Anderson in. We want to see what he has to say.
Well, that people are kind of getting to know me now, so they know who to call. But before, they would call up MUFON, and our old home office was in Irvine, California. And they knew about me in the office, and so oftentimes they would direct me, because they knew that they would direct them to me, because they knew that I didn't mind. I actually enjoyed doing media work. So it's kind of how I got into it.
Is that how they actually say it too? Who are you going to call? Just like, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Who are you going to call?
Right. Alien Busters,
who are you
right?
going to call? Earl Grey Anderson.
Yeah, there you go. Then they do. I got a call from Channel 4 the other day, out here, an NBC affiliate.
NBC LA, yeah.
Tomorrow I'm going out on the road all day with sort of, it's the Nightline, of the Italian version of Nightline.
Nightline, huh? That is
so they want
cool.
to start in Topanga Canyon, and then eventually we're ending up in the high desert, and I'm just going to take them to places where I've had various cases, and we'll probably talk about the Tic Tac / Nimitz Princeton thing that happened off of Catalina Island back in 2004, that kind of started the ball rolling with the disclosure that we're seeing right now. And that happened right in my backyard, and I get plenty of cases from that area still.
That's incredible.
Contemporary cases. Yeah, I had one from a pilot,
Yeah. Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, a commercial pilot and his wife and brother-in-law. They were camping on Catalina Island, and they saw this large golden sphere, like 100 feet across, come out of the water and do like a crosswise pattern in the air. It went and resubmerged, came out again, and then just shot out of the atmosphere. And this guy, he could give me the coordinates of where they saw it, because he's a pilot. He knew the area. He said it was equidistant from the shore and Catalina Island, 10 miles out. He had binoculars. They were trading them back and forth. Unfortunately, the cell phone was in the tent, of course, like usual. But it was a very good case, and it happened exactly where the Tic Tac event happened that you hear about, with the Nimitz aircraft carrier. And I'm good friends with Kevin Day, who was the strike force commander on the Princeton that day, who first noticed the UFOs on his deep radar. And Kevin kind of started everything that you see now, which it led to the 2017 front page of the New York Times, where they said that UFOs were real. Pretty wild.
Well, Jen Barry's in Pennsylvania. She says, UFO neighbor Chris and I were sitting on the golf course at night, and he and I both looked up and saw a black triangle with 3 warm lights, took off, no sound. Chris and I ran up the mountain to home. She had something
One of
else.
These guys. That's what she saw.
Really?
That's a very a lot of people see that triangle. Some people think those might be ours, that they're coming out of Lockheed Skunk Works. I'm not sure, but they do defy gravity, and they apparently are space worthy. So there you go. It's a very wonderful sighting that you had.
To actually see something like that. As I mentioned, folks, if you're just joining us, we're weaving in some of the incredible musicianship of our guest. Joining us here, Earl Grey Anderson, because he's a great singer, songwriter, and guitarist, along with his incredible work as a UFO investigator as well. She had said something earlier, too. She goes, UFO aliens kidnapped us.
Wow.
I was driving Ken, her partner, and I at night on a dark road, and this is, I believe, in Pennsylvania. Ken and I woke up in my car on a different road, parked on the side of the road. We both don't know how we got there. It's kind of like that Twilight Zone episode you and I were just talking about.
Yeah.
After
I've heard that story a whole bunch of times.
I don't know how they got there.
That happens to people, where some people, their entire car is abducted. Jen, if you go to MUFON, it's MUFON.com, and just click on that, it will have a link that says report a UFO. And if you would like, please do and report. It doesn't matter if it happened years ago or not. We're still interested in having that in our files. And you'll have, a field investigator look into your sighting and take it very, very seriously. Yeah. And so I invite you to do that.
And you're talking to the state director there in California.
You'll get the Pennsylvania state
the
director,
Pennsylvania department, but he can connect you.
Yeah.
Jim Lucifer says, Lucier.
Hi, Jim.
The triangle ship I saw was large, soundless, and floating. Me and my friends saw the ship here in Saskatchewan, Canada.
Wow. I haven't seen a black triangle myself yet. I
think it's kind of odd I said Lucifer instead of Lucier.
I know. Don't call Jim.
Was that a Freudian thing?
Jim's a good friend of mine.
Where did that come from? See, that's how the word levity slipped out. I said the show is light, love, and levity.
The Lucifer thing.
And then I said it too fast, and now came levity. Isn't that funny? Where are those?
That's Jim Lucier. I think it is the pronunciation.
Yes, it is.
Lucier. Well, would you like me to play another song?
That triangle thing. You know what's interesting? Maybe you can answer this. Jane is watching in Sweden. She had an interesting comment.
Sure.
She goes, I will never understand why the USA still wants to be secret of what so many have seen. Are they afraid that there is something bigger than them? Why they're afraid of letting people know? Meaning that I guess she's in Sweden and maybe she feels other parts of the world, it's acceptable. They accept, UFO sightings. There's no question of it. Where here we debate it. It's not real. It's fake. It's this. It's something military in the sky or whatever. Is that fact? Is the USA more a skeptical country, or is she just assuming that? Or from your?
I don't think it's skeptical so much. I don't think it's skepticism. What I think it is it's fear of how the public will react. And that the Pentagon, for the longest time, they've been in charge of the UFO, taking in the information and doing with that whatever it is that they do, their own investigations. And of course, the Pentagon, it's all about threat assessment and weaponization. How can we do this? And is this a threat to us? They've always said, well, it's not, they don't act like they're unfriendly. They haven't shot at us, but they can't tell the public that they can protect us from them because, I mean, just the UFO that we had here off of Catalina Island, in the Nimitz encounter, was clocked at Mach 18 times the speed of sound. We don't have anything that can travel that fast. And this thing was defying Newtonian physics. It should have created a fireball. It was making 90-degree turns on the spot at Mach 18,
Wow.
not causing a single sonic boom, which it should have been 18 sonic booms. So this thing somehow or another carries its own physics with it.
That's incredible.
It played cat and mouse with our pilots.
Wow.
They don't want to tell the public that they can't protect them from it. So I think that's what it comes down to.
That's fascinating. It really, really is. I'm going to talk more about some of the things that you've come across. We have this fantastic shot. We were showing it earlier when you were chatting. Tell us what this was.
That was the season finale of Motor Mythbusters, where they had a Cars versus UFO episode. The truck in the background is the one from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where, the mailboxes are all going crazy and all that. And they did hard science. It was cool. They sent an EMP, like a large electromagnetic, at a car to see what it would do. They used a large electromagnet to see if they could recreate what happened in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They did. It's a good episode, and you can watch it on Motor Trends television. And I was proud to be their guest for that episode.
That's terrific. That's really, really cool. Got a couple of other great shots here as well. Look at this one. Tell us about this.
Oh, that's the truck from Close Encounters of a Third Kind.
That is the truck. Wow.
Yeah, that's the truck.
Do you have a favorite movie in that genre? Is there one that to you is your favorite, maybe because it's the most realistic, or what would make it your favorite and which one would it be?
It would be The Day the Earth Stood Still. And I think because it's the closest that I know to the reality of our visitors. And, because we get, one seems to have a face-to-face encounter or abduction or whatever, seems to be left with the same message that nuclear weapons are evil. You're going to destroy yourselves. Ecological, you need to think about the ecology of your planet. And then just to raise our vibration. You hear that a lot. What does that mean? Well, being quiet. Maybe this is why I get songs at 12 to 3 a.m. usually when I write them, because we're quiet and it's meditative in a way. And your vibration is raised a little bit. And but that's what they want from humanity. Our technology is way out here. Talking about Mars and all this, but yet we're acting like cavemen and brutalizing each other and going to war like
now more than ever.
Genghis Khan, now
more than ever. It's what do you think of the Mercury and retrograde and all those types of things? Does that all come into play, or?
I think that there's that we're all connected with each other, that there's, Joseph Campbell talked about this quite a bit, and that if there's a grand consensus of humans about something, even if it comes from myth or is made up, it could actually, sort of happen. And maybe that's why people's astrological signs tend to sort of be like the people when you meet them. I am a proverbial Gemini. So there you go, although they say I have Cancer rising, which is supposed to make me a little bit more empathic. So hopefully that's true.
Right. Exactly. So it tends to be if the majority sort of feels that way, or that's their understanding, I think that in that direction.
I think that we change our environment by the way that we see it and react to it and think of it. Yeah. They're finding this out, in neurology, with a lot of the MRI work that they've been doing with people, MRI stuff when they're finding out that our thoughts are things and that they don't where our cranium ends, that it's kind of important what you put out there, you know.
Yes.
I think we influence things. Yeah.
Absolutely. We've got a video here we want to share, and our buddy Paul Zolo is watching as well. Good to see you, Paul. Welcome to
Hey there, Paulie.
Show Live as well. We love Paul. And if you have a question or anything, folks, post away. If you want to do a super chat, super emoji, super stickers to charge it up, we'll show that on the screen. Special colors, we'll thank you as well. There is a video here. This is Seventh Sister. Tell us about this one.
Cool. I won't play that one live. Good, because I have other songs I was going to do.
And this has like the visual with it too, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of did my own graphic artwork on this. I like to play digital artist on my iPad. So, but it's when I wrote this, there's a story of there's the constellation, the Pleiades, and it was called the Seven Sisters. But if you look at it, it's only 6. Apparently, at one time you could see 7. I was thinking about this guy, this ancient boatman going down a river, realizing that his lucky star had disappeared overnight. And it's also kind of a cosmic love song about maybe a visitor, if you think about it that way, that has gone back to her home world. So there you go.
All right. Let's check it out from our very special guest, Earl Grey Anderson, singer, songwriter, guitarist, former nurse, UFO investigator. He mows his own lawn too.
No, I don't do that.
Your daddy doesn't do
We don't have one.
We don't have
Apartment
one.
life.
You're not living in Area 51, are you? All desert?
No. I probably wouldn't be on your show if I was.
That's it. We might be there, but you might not see us. You might just hear us.
Yeah.
Here we go. Seventh Sister. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope you're having a good time on the Jim Master Show Live.
Diving for a dream, scintillas in the stream, hoping for what's true. I'm trawling for honor in this shallow pool. Borealis starlit crown arches over the Puget Sound. Berenice's hair drapes the horizon to There is my lucky star tonight, seventh sister of the Pleiades, walks in beauty like the night. Oh, that is best, dark and now lost to me. Only trust in the northern star. That's the only point that's fixed. I once believed in love. Even love cannot bridge this rift. There is my lucky star tonight, the seventh sister of the Pleiades, who walks in a beauty like the night. All that is best,
That's really, really nice. It's breathtaking. It's beautiful. It's mesmerizing. And you did an awesome job mixing, the visuals with the rhythms and the movement of the song as well. Good job.
Thank you. That was produced by my friend Eric Richards. I should mention him.
Give a kudos
He
to
and
him.
he plays bass and keyboards, and our drummer was in the video at one point too, that was on the session. So that's a current song. I'm working on a new album, and so slowly but surely we're getting the songs recorded, and that's surely one of the ones that's going to be on the next record. So there you go.
Tell us about
Mhm.
the albums that you have out already too, for folks who might want to learn
Yes.
more about that. I think that's cool.
You guys would probably be interested in, you know, uh, Piper Gray was the name of my is the name of the duo. We're taking a little respite, from the time COVID happened and stuff. We had to kind of shut shop for a bit, but we're talking about doing some concerts this year. So you can find us on, Spotify, on YouTube, or uh, and I believe that you can buy albums. We have an album called Apples by Piper Gray, and also an album called Live at the Onion, which is a building out here that's shaped like an onion. It wasn't the Onion comedy newspaper, but anyway, it was a venue.
Oh,
But
it was part of it was the Onion, as
Mhm.
in, yeah.
It's
Does that
called the
still
Onion, but
exist?
it's yeah. Well, it's an old church. It's a Unitarian church, but it's shaped like an onion, and the it's a fabulous room with beautiful acoustics. And we did a live album that we recorded there. So those are both available on Amazon, I believe, as well as cdbaby.com. CD Baby's great. Also, you can stream my solo album. It's just under Earl Grey. It's from 1992, but it's been re-released to stream on Spotify, as well as on Pandora and your other favorite streaming services. Album called Lover's Ridge by Earl Grey. And I'm very proud of that. It got a lot of notice here in the LA acoustic scene when I put it
That
out.
is
And
cool.
yeah,
That
thank
is so
you.
cool. So, sliding back to the UFO side of things, how do you define, from your perspective, what a UFO actually is? And does that change? Does that morph and tweak? I think when people hear, unidentified flying object, they immediately think of what you've seen on television and movies, that flying saucer with that high pitched sounds, going around, and that's what it is. And they land, and then the ladder opens, and they come out, and they look around, and they say, "These people are strange. We're going back to our planet." How do you define what it is
Um,
compared to how
the
it's depicted in movies and television?
I mean, there are flying saucer cases. I have had a few spectacular, full families that have seen, have had a close encounter with a saucer shaped craft. Um, they don't make sound, so the woo woo that you're mentioning from the movies, no,
I
they're
bet you can
perfectly
make that sound with
silent.
your guitar.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe you'd have to
Fine.
feed back a little bit, maybe. Um, but when I went into this, I thought that it was going to be all nuts and bolts investigations, investigating spaceships, and there's so many more layers to it than that. There's a psychological element to it. And I think that we're being interacted with as a species. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes not so subtle, but it goes far beyond just nuts and bolts craft. People have
Yeah,
face-to-face
physical things, right?
encounters,
Right.
and
Have you yourself ever experienced any of it?
I've had an experience. I don't know if I want to go into it right now because we need another show to
You'll be back
go
for
through
part
all.
2, folks, and we'll go
Sure,
into
if
it.
you want, we can do
Put a
that.
pot of coffee on and
I'll be
kick
talking
back.
about that at the symposium. I'm running 2 experiencer workshops for people that have had encounters like Jen, who was on here before, mentioned.
Driving, and they ended up somewhere and
Yeah,
woke up, and how'd they get
I
there?
hear
Yeah.
that all the time, and I know people, doctors, lawyers, and scientists that have gone through similar things, not just, I remember when that people would always say, oh, just hillbillies see, UFOs, or just, uneducated. And it couldn't be more different. More times than not, I'll have, an entity report come in, or I'll have a close encounter that'll, be an astrophysicist or a doctor, neurologist. It's really no respecter of persons, and hillbillies, yeah, there's some hillbillies that'll see UFOs too.
Is it sometimes where, say, for example, you have a family and there's just this one person that is the only one that sees it and experiences it? For some reason, the rest in the family are never touched by it, never experience it, never see it, never feel it. But this one particular person constantly, and they'll swear their life on it, feels it and experiences it and sees it. Does that happen sometimes where one particular person is the one? And is that usually a strategic thing, maybe where they are chosen or selected, or any of that? Am I going in the right direction with that type of thing?
I think so. We do see a lot of familial visitations. Well, it seems to be generational. Like there's interest in particular bloodlines and families for some reason. So you hear from great grandmother, grandmother, the mother, and the son, and now the children, and the grandchildren all have a history of this. But then, I have like one case, one guy that I've known for about 7 years right now, and has become really a close friend, but was originally one of my cases through MUFON. And he was the head of Homeland Security at a major airport. And he started having visitations when he was 7 years old, where entities would come into his room and they would, do like experiments, bring machinery in. And this would happen. It was recurring. And his parents were very, very concerned. They thought that it was night terrors. They couldn't understand what was happening. As time went on and he got older, he was able to kind of push it down and not react so terribly with it. Here he is now I believe he's in his mid 50s probably. And he's got children and he's given names to the entities. It's one of them is the same entity that he's seen since he was 7 years old. So, and he's the only person in his family so far. He was worried about his daughter. He didn't, for him, he's glad that this is happening. It makes him feel connected to the universe somehow. But he didn't want his daughter to have to deal with being taken and have any kind of fear. Hasn't touched her. It's just been, we call him Andy. We use a pseudonym so he doesn't lose his job in the, TSA. But just a wonderful, smart Boy Scout kind of a guy. He's the guy you would want to have your back in an emergency situation. And that's exactly what he does.
That's cool.
Somebody that's very, very trustworthy. And there's his life story,
That's amazing. That's fantastic. It's another great shot. Look at this one. Tell us about this.
Well, my wife, Lisa, works on the Warner's lot. In fact, she's there today.
Oh, she does?
Hi, Lisa. Yeah, she's.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome. And she's definitely a lovety, right?
Yeah, she's a lovety. So she every once in a while, back at least before the pandemic, she would get me into the into the prop room. So that's the Warner Brothers prop room right there, hanging out with an Egyptian buddy there.
That is cool.
Oh, there you go. Alien Con about 3 years ago. A friend there. He doesn't look too happy.
Doesn't look too happy.
Him. No. That's at Alien Con. That's myself, Yvonne Smith on my right, who is a hypnotherapist, and Nikita Kranda, or NK Kranda, on my left, who is a woman who I mentored in Experiencer workshops and how to deal with experiencers and help them to find a support group and else what. She's very active in ufology right now as well, privately. And so that's NK. Hello there, NK. That's myself and Ruben Uriarte, another dear friend of mine. That was at a UFO film festival in San Francisco that we both spoke at. And Ruben is the state director of Northern California. We're such a large state that we need two of us. So Ruben is my doppelganger up
The
north.
doppelganger.
That's myself and the Fleetwood's Monster, which is a famous case. You can look that up.
Wow, that's cool. That's a cool one. Here's
A
another
facsimile of it's not the real
Facsimile.
guy.
Project Blue Book.
Yeah, my friend Paul Hynek is J. Allen Hynek's son, and J. Allen Hynek was the head scientist of Project Blue Book, which was the Pentagon's first official investigation into the phenomenon back from the 1940s. There was a TV show that was based on his father, and that was at the premiere party out in Hollywood. So
Kind of cool,
Paul,
huh?
if you're
Yeah.
watching. Paul Hynek will be speaking at this symposium. Actually, I got him for this year. I had to think about it because
Very
we're already
cool.
working on next year. That was for the Bob Lazar movie premiere. There you go. You can look Bob Lazar up. He was a
That's
guy
cool.
that supposedly worked at Area 51 that saw some strange stuff. Storming Area 51 special that I was on. My advice was, for God's sake, don't storm Area 51. They'll shoot you.
Mhm.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, that was on the Travel Channel. Yeah.
That's the
Kinda
UFO
cool.
bros right there. They're called they're real brothers, and they do they do specials every now and then on I believe the Travel Channel it was on. Yeah,
Very
Yep.
cool.
it says right there, Travel
And there's
Channel.
Paul. That's our
Yeah.
buddy Paul.
My
It's a great
bestie
shot.
Paul. We don't
That's
get
a-
to see enough nowadays. That since the
I know.
pandemic, we all kind of
Everybody's sorta like-
cloistered. It's recording vocals for, I believe, was that for Dave Piper's solo album?
That's nice.
Anyway, yeah, it's just doing some background vocals in the studio.
That's really nice. It's a great shot
Thank you.
too. They're getting from Project Blue Book.
Mm-hmm.
And this we actually saw in the video too, which was really, really cool. The one that we showed.
That's from my
Look at this
friend
one, yeah.
Dennis Reno, who does caricature work and has a cartoon strip. He's very, very good. And he did that and surprised me with it a few years back. And I was very happy with it.
Yeah,
I
we should have him
decided,
come
I
on the
guess I've
show, yeah.
arrived.
Yeah, we should have
They
him come
do
on
your
and show us his
cartoons.
work. He could be a guest. Yeah, I love all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this one
That's
here.
me pretending like I'm being hovered over by a UFO, but that was from the Project Blue Book premiere party as well. They had a little photo booth, so I was hamming it up.
You saw the light. You literally saw the light in that one.
Yeah.
So what do you say? So, obviously, there's some people that say there's UFOs. There's some that say there's none. It's a figment of our imagination. It's our daydreaming. It's fantasy. It's chemical. It's just we want to think so. There's no such thing. And then there's those who say there is. How do you work with all of that? That's a whole other can of worms.
Well, we do use a scientific method at MUFON, as keeping in mind that our science is at least, probably 4,000, 10,000 years behind our visitors' science. But we do use a scientific method. I get all manner of reports. People will sometimes see a party balloon, a Mylar balloon spinning in the wind, and it looks like a UFO flashing at them, So, I get a lot of things like that, or people will see drones now and what have you, Goodyear blimp, and think it's a UFO. Probably about 95% of the UFO reports that come in are usually misidentified objects, but it's that 5%. The interesting 5% that you have left that just gobsmacks me and amazes me. It has changed the way that I look at the universe, at the night sky and other dimensions. So,
Does
but
any
a UFO,
of it make you uneasy at all? Sometimes when people hear
no.
that, they get uneasy. What do you mean there's other people? Are they watching? Are they going to take over our planet? They think that too. Some. Does it ever make you uneasy, or do you embrace it all?
I embrace it. I feel like they're benevolence, and the ones that are less than benevolent have to answer to somebody that's over them. This is what I've come to believe just in all the people I've spoken with and what I've read and official documents that I've read. But as far as people saying that it's not a real thing, the Senate congressional meetings we just had, it was officiated that UFOs are real. I think I'm freezing here.
You're freezing?
But according to our own government, it's a very real thing. That was one of the few new things that we heard from this congressional report that just from 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago. They didn't say it was swamp gas. They said that it's a reality. So
Christine
as
Clifton's in
far
North
as
Carolina.
where they come from, I don't know.
She said she was at a music conference in the mountains of North Carolina in the 1990s. We all saw a UFO in the sky. No sound, several lights, moved around fast, could be close, then far away, then vanished quickly. Many of us saw this.
Yeah. Yep. It's a real thing. It's a reality. And I've seen a UFO close up before. It had a psychological effect on me, as well as just kind of being this thing that I couldn't understand that was defying gravity. The closer I got to it, time seemed strange. It seemed like it was, psychologically affecting me to where I didn't even grab for my phone. Here I am, at that time I was chief investigator for MUFON, and, I could have had the smoking gun video that would have broken, the story open for everybody.
Forever.
But the last thing that I thought of was my phone or taking a picture. I just was looking at this thing and couldn't understand how it could be this massive object to be hanging in the sky like that silently. I was looking around for cables that maybe they, suspend. Somebody was tricking me, suspending something from phone wires, or
try to write.
It was humongous. It was like the size of a jet fighter. It was sort of boxy looking. Didn't look new. It looked sort of rusty in places. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen.
Interesting. Yeah.
And when I was about 30 feet away from it, I was in my car. The complete changed. It shortened, and it suddenly seemed to be like 10 times as large as it did when I was right up on it, and it was a mile away. So there's a psychological element to this thing. It's not just it's not just nuts and bolts. There's a full-on human experience around this thing, and it's an interactive phenomenon, is what we're finding. It is true.
Now, when you're brought in to investigate, and somebody says it's already happened, what is it you tend to look for? Meaning, if they saw something in the sky or something on the ground or something approached or whatever it may be, whatever the experience was, I would imagine like by the time you get in the car and you get there, the event has already occurred. So how do you sort of deduce what happened? Is there stuff left behind? Or is there ever a residue? Or there evidence of it?
We have ways of dealing with evidence. We do bag evidence. We use the same procedures that the FBI and the police would use, where we cordon off the area, use gloves. If we can bring out a Geiger counter if there's a worry about there being radiation left behind, because sometimes there is. One close encounter case that we had out here, the woman had like a metallic taste in her mouth for days after, and she had blotching of her skin, and those are all signs of being too close to radiation. So there is that element, and we investigate it scientifically, but that was an amazing encounter that happened out in Azusa, and there were multiple. There were 3 different witnesses, and one was 5 miles away. He reported this UFO separately from the 2 women that saw this. The 2 women sort of took chase after the UFO and found themselves in a cul-de-sac next to a park, and they were frustrated because they saw these 2 orb-like objects that they went towards the mountains there. of Azusa, and they were just painting, doing what we call the falling leaf motion, which was up and down kind of motion there in the air. Behind them, suddenly it lit up, and they turned around, and hanging over this house was a flying saucer, like you were saying, out of an old science fiction movie. I did go there. I screened the neighbors to see if other people had seen it. We were going to bring a Geiger counter out and do all that, because it was hovering over this tree. But the homeowner was not having it. He was a somewhat religious gentleman, and he didn't want to hear about aliens hovering over his tree.
Get away from my tree.
Get off of my lawn and my
Get
tree.
off my lawn.
Yeah, but I would have brought out an arboreal ladder and with the Geiger counter. We were all set to do that. As it was, BuzzFeed came out and did a story on the sighting, and you can find that in their archives. If you, I forget what's it called. I traveled with UFO hunters, I think was the name of the episode, but it's in there, and you can watch that if you'd be interested.
Got a question that came in from
Sure.
Jim. Could the UFO pyramids and the black triangles be from the same alien race?
Wow, I don't know. Jim, I think that some of the black triangles might actually be ours. I've talked with a couple of aerospace engineers, and there's kind of talk about the Black Manta project. They've been seeing the black triangles since 1980, like mid 1980, and they sort of all of a sudden appeared, and people have been seeing them ever since. They're technically UFOs because, nobody in our government has said that we have created them. I've heard, Lockheed Skunk Works talked about a lot around the subject. But I also think that there are non-human triangles. I have one case from 1965 from Venice, California. It was close to where I lived at the time. And two brothers and the mother and the sister saw this thing. It flew over their barbecue. Two brothers were fighting over a squirt gun, and they look up, and this massive object is flying over them, and it had a window. You could see it, he saw beings in the window. I spoke to both brothers, and I spoke to the mother. She's like in her late 80s now, but she was clear as a bell and cogent, and it's a spectacular case. So I think some are ours, but I think that they originated from someplace, and maybe we copied the technology. It was like the reverse engineering stuff going on. As far as the pyramids, I don't know. The pyramid, there was the one that supposedly was hovering over the Pentagon or something. I don't know if that is a real video or something that somebody threw together, but it looked pretty good. Videos are hard to check. Yeah, photos, I can look for the metadata and I can tell if it's been played with or digitally processed. Videos are harder to tell with that.
What about the paranormal activity world? Does this merge in and blend in with that?
My friend Renario Hernandez wrote a book called Beyond UFOs, which featured a couple of my mentors wrote chapters for that book. Kathleen Martin, who is Betty and Barney Hill's niece, she wrote a chapter, and Kathleen is a very close friend and associate of mine. And anyway, what I'm having a senior moment. What was your
the paranormal world?
Oh, the paranormal, the intersection.
In or
Renario.
intersect.
You see, I got off of Renario into other people, but Renario believes that the paranormal is part of a spectrum that UFOs are part of. That just like light, visible light and radio and infrared, and that those are all part of the same spectral rainbow, more or less. That UFOs are and telepathy and synchronicity and what we would consider some poltergeist activity and the paranormal, that is part of the same spectrum. I tend to stick a lot more towards the UFO side because that's what I do, but I'm very open to the other things. I don't think it's just nuts and crafts, rocket ships from another planet. I think that it's something's happening here, and it's a lot of things are happening, that humans are being changed. We're about to hit this, what they call the singularity, that Ray Kurzweil wrote a wonderful book called The Singularity, where he talks about how humans are on the cusp of changing. That technology is such that it's only a matter of time before people start having chips put in themselves and stuff. And I cringe thinking about that, but we probably would have cringed carrying around an iPhone and doing this all day too, but here we all are doing that. So I think it's inevitable, but what this may do is it may cause humans to finally break through our greatest disability, and that is our telepathic abilities, which it seems like every other race out there has. When people are have an encounter, they're never talked to, they're spoken to in their mind. It's always telepathic connection. And I know some interesting people. I've been told that humans are kind of considered disabled that way, that we never really developed our telepathy, and that's why we're still so barbaric. If you feel connected to somebody, you can't shoot them. You can't think of them as an enemy when they have the same goals and ideals, and they're the same as you. So I think that's happening. A lot of things are happening, and it's all the same big ball of wax. That it's probably happened on other planets. We're probably not the first. It's subtle, it's gradual, but humanity is becoming space-worthy, I believe. And that's what's
I was going to say, you and I were talking about it before we went live. We seem to be going through some sort of a transformation, a shift.
Mm-hmm. A crisis.
9/11 was a big pivotal point forward. Everything after 9/11, just everything sort of changed as far as how we treat each other, and then all of these crises that have happened since. There's one after the other. You're just trying to recover from one, and here's the next, and you can't even breathe in between them. Are we going through something? Is there something larger than what even we are aware of that is happening, causing all of these reactions, the violence, the vitriol, just the fear, the anxiety, all of these things that are happening? Do you think that there are things at play beyond anything that we are thinking about day to day?
Well, I think that we're witnessing the culmination of all of these years of and the evolution of society and humanity. And we're at a point where we have to change. The evolution has to take place again within us. Now, in the past, evolution was about, tool building. It was about limbs and fingers and being able to manipulate your environment. But I think that the evolution that's happening now is more, maybe spiritual might not be the perfect word for it, but I think that is probably the word for it, that we're being enhanced. And I think that we're being kind of foot draggy about it because it's human nature. But I think that it's going to happen whether we like it or not. I hope so. I mean, I hope we're not, if they land on the White House lawn, I think that we're in trouble. I think then we'll be forced to change. But Star Wars is a myth. They don't want, I don't think that the intelligences out there want us to be in outer space and blowing things up. Something has to change. We can't be barbarians, and we're xenophobic against each other as humans. And how are we going to deal with something that might look like a bug, or the gray aliens with the big eyes? People are scared, because they look different from us. And the xenophobia has to go out the window, and so that has to take place. That we just have to grow up, and I think we've reached that crisis point, and it's finally being revealed to us. Well, we're not alone,
right?
Ronald Reagan said something like that, to that effect, at the United Nations. He said, "Imagine how we would react if we found out there was a threat from outer space. How as the different countries would come together and work together as one." And, they say that Ronald Reagan, he really wanted to disclose he knew about it. His vice president was Bush, of course, who was head of the CIA. He certainly knew about the UFO phenomenon. And that was Ronnie's little bit of disclosure that he did. So love him or hate him, I think that was a good thing that he said and did in the UN. And he was correct. We have to change. Our xenophobia has to change with ourselves and with our visitors.
What would you say for you, because every day is probably something unique and different, or a couple of experiences you've had in the UFO investigation world that really stand out to you, that you still think about, that was absolutely extraordinarily amazing. I could never create a movie script that even matches what that thing was that happened. Are there a couple that stand out for you, Earl?
There's a lot of subtle things that all come together that way. My wife and I had a strange experience that I'm not going to go into right now because, again, like I was saying, it would take probably a whole show to talk about it. But I was definitely changed. I had I had an encounter with entities, and I wasn't expecting that. I put the request out there. I was doing a little what they call a CE5 meditation. I was kind of doing it. I didn't think it was really going to work, but it did. And I did have an encounter with entities, that were not human. And it changed me. There was kind of a leftover from it. It changed. I started experiencing what they call synchronicities, which is a synchronicity is it's a meaningful coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
And people that have had encounters, they tend to exhibit gifts, for lack of a better term, gifts that they didn't have before. My friend Kevin Day, who was on the USS Princeton during the Tic Tac encounter, he was he became more telepathic, more empathic. His thoughts became obviously causative, and there was Pentagon interest in the after effects. He was told, well, we put a few $1 million into training you when you were in the Navy, and now we're going to put in a few $1 million watching you because we want to make sure that you don't make make the Eastern Seaboard fall into the ocean or something because you're in a bad mood. So I think that there's actually a term for it. Jacques Vallée, who is they had Francois Truffaut played him in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Jacques Vallée is still with us, active member of the science community and in the UFO community. And Jacques' whole attitude is that this phenomena has always been here, and that it's not what it seems. That it's more than he said. If it turns out to just be ETs and spaceships, I'm going to be disappointed. He believes that this has been happening throughout history, that certain encounters that you might call, an encounter with the fairy world or with leprechauns or with gods, in Egypt or in other, that this has been here all along, and that it's almost perhaps that there's a programming system in our world, almost like a computer program, and this is the guidance system for us. And since we are now living in the space age, the best way for it to depict itself is as aliens from outer space. But it's something deeper and even more important than that.
More important than that, yeah. Wow.
If you can imagine, that blows my mind.
Yeah,
and I know that
absolutely.
when I had my encounter, it changed me as a person, changed Kevin, all the people I know that have had this happen. They've all been made into better persons because of it. I really haven't met anybody that had an encounter who suddenly, became, a mass murderer or some terrible person. It seems to enhance a person's empathy and care for the world and others. And you're suddenly worried about the fact that we have the ability to blow the world up 500 times in a row.
So
you know?
it's kind of like a different form of divine intervention then.
Mhm. Yeah, it may even
Yeah.
be divine intervention. I'm trying not to classify it. That if I've learned anything, that's what I've learned is that before I would classify it as nuts and bolts spaceships. Now I see it could be any number of things, but I think that
Exactly.
I think that I don't think it's
Yeah,
some malevolent thing. I think that it
exactly.
has us in our future in mind. So.
Now, switching to the musical side of Earl, do
I
you have
know.
another song for us, my friend? This is great.
Sure.
Everybody's loving
Well,
the comments. They're loving just the weaving of the stories, and it all blends together. How much does the UFO investigative work influence your music now?
they're interactive.
They're
They're both parts of each other.
they're
There's
linked.
usually a little cosmic element in my music, and that's where that comes from. It's all coming from my heart, and so of course there's it's not like two different things.
Exactly.
Everything
What a
is
great comment from
connected.
Nikki. It's all connected. I feel it's very good to have such discussions with respect and not with fear, like we're having tonight on the Jim Masters Show live. Thank you, Nikki, for those beautiful
Yes.
words. I really appreciate that. You have another song I know there's some music you want to
Sure.
share
Yeah, I
with
got a
us too.
bunch.
Yeah,
Here,
absolutely.
I promised Paul Zillo. He's like, "Now, don't just talk about UFOs. I need to know about your music." And
Get the
that's
music
Paulie,
going. Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah, we
you
have both. Yeah, that people are like
you're the guy who's running this conversation, and so Jim wanted to talk about UFOs. Paul, sorry about that, but we'll do some music now. This is a song called Zion. I'll just let it speak for itself.
let us speak. Yeah.
Headlights racing down the 14 freeway. Urgent Dachshund dashes on their way to LA. I shake my head and laugh. I'm not part of your telegraph, no. I'm on my way away. I am on my way to Zion. I am on my way to Zion. A bit of cool breeze, a touch of purifying stone. I am on my way alone. Zion lies just next to Virgin, Utah. That's where they'll water down your beer, they do. That's alright by me, Jane. The water's sweeter than champagne. It's intoxicating. I am on my way to Zion. On my way to Zion. A bit of cool breeze, a touch of purifying stone. I'm on my way alone. I am on my way back home. I'm on my way to Zion. Ooh. I am on my way to Zion. On my way to Zion. a bit of cool breeze, a touch of purifying the stone. I'm on my way alone. I am on my way back home. On my way to Zion. On my way back home.
That's really nice. That's really nice. You know, when you
Thank you.
when you play and when you sing, I feel like I'm being transported to another time and place.
Thank you so
It
much.
sort of like releases those feel good endorphins and lowers the one's blood pressure and makes things calm and easy and flowing, which I love because that's my personality anyways. To, you know, I'm a Libra, balance and harmony, sort of
There you are.
take the two extremes and bring them together, and you know, make a
Music is
loaf of bread that way.
medicinal.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
really is.
Yes.
Let's talk more about. I love again the way we've weaved in the music, the UFOs. I know a lot of people are very interested in the UFO side because it's not like we always have a guest on that is an expert in that area. So kind of cool to go meandering through those lanes there. But from the musical side of all of it too, do you tour? Are you performing at locations? Tell us about some of the things that now that things are a little bit better than maybe they were a year or so ago. Some of the things that you're doing with the music.
Sure. Well, Lisa and I, we just backed up our friend Jeff Gold at a gig over at the Tarzana, the Edgar Rice Burroughs house, which is in Tarzana, about 5-6 miles away from where I live. And they have a really beautiful music venue there. And so we that was the first show that we've done since 2 years ago when everything kind of locked down. So now I'm out playing again, mostly at, you know, just with other musicians, and you know, we played a birthday party a couple nights ago. But I will be scheduling gigs again this year, probably after July, after the symposium, because that's I'm like have too many plates in the air until that's over. I'm doing a lot of stuff at that. But yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be finishing up this album that I started recording a couple years ago, and getting that in the can so that we can release something soon. So all that's happening. A good way to get a hold of me is just on Facebook. I'm Earl Grey on Facebook. You'll see, you know, MUFON, you know, state director of Southern, you know, of Southern California there. And you know, it looks like me. You'll know it's me. And I usually that's my main forum where I tell people about stuff. There, I'm starting to use the Twitter machine a little bit, you know, Instagram a little bit, but mostly I do a lot of private email list stuff. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me via email, I'm Earl Grey Anderson, Gray with an E. Earl Grey Anderson at gmail.com. And I can put you on a mailing list and let you know when we're having MUFON meetings locally in Los Angeles, or anything else of interest. I'm there for you guys. So there you go.
Cool stuff. Get ready to be bombarded.
Yeah. Oh, Lord have mercy. That's okay. I did it.
A few of them out there, they're probably typing right now. I don't doubt it.
Yeah. Well, I need a new website. That's the thing. I mean, on Facebook, I'm oh my God, it has like some old platform on that. What was it? My Place or something like that? MySpace. Oh God. And I don't
Oh,
really,
remember that
yeah,
one?
none of us
Yes,
use
MySpace.
MySpace anymore. I think it, so I do have to get a new website. You can also go Facebook and look up Piper Gray, Piper/Gray, and that's my duo. And that also have 2 albums out with David Piper of Piper Gray.
That's cool.
Apples is our studio album, and Live at the Onion is our live album. And Lover's Ridge by Earl Grey on Spotify, Pandora, and your favorite streaming
iTunes,
services.
Amazon,
It's on
all the
all of
rest.
those.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's usually where you're exactly. That's why I would figure, because some people have asked, where can we get the music? Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, Amazon, all the usual suspect places. So,
That's right.
are you ever torn between the two worlds as far as what speaks to your heart more, the music or the UFO side, or is it pretty much 50-50 for you, Earl?
It's 100-100. They're interchangeable. They're parts of each other.
Do
Again,
they balance each other?
they do. My friend Jeff Krause, my old boss at MUFON, he just reminded me the other day. He said, "Remember when I first met you? I said, guitar players make damn good field investigators." And it's like, yeah, I can. My new chief investigator that I just promoted is Gino Marigellano, and he is a rockabilly player, a monster
Wow.
guitar player
Yeah.
out in Orange County, San Diego, Orange County, Anaheim area. He plays a lot. I just did a tour out in Arizona, and his work is amazing. He's got, it's Gino and the Lone Gunman. You
Wow.
can find him on YouTube as well, and he's another ufologist. And in fact, I'm going to be doing this Italian TV show with him tomorrow. So
what you were talking about, yeah, that's like
that's
they
right.
were
Hello,
in
Gino,
one.
if you're listening. I hope I got your last name right this time. Marigellano. It's a little mouthful there, but I got it.
Tell us about the guitar that you have in your hand there.
This one is Ibanez. It's actually my wife's guitar. It's a beautiful one, and I tend to, that we have this one on the guitar stand in the living room. That's sort of the communal guitar. I think it's my son's favorite guitar of mine. My other one here is a Tacoma, which Fender bought the company. They were going to start, making that sort of their Martin style line, and then nothing happened. So it's sort of a rarity of a guitar now because it was handmade like a Martin in Tacoma, Washington. Beautiful guitar. I play those too, and I got a 12 string. I favor Fender Stratocasters when I play electric, and that's about it.
You play other instruments too?
I goof around on keyboards. I'll play bass. I can, I do vocals with my wife. We get farmed out a lot to do other people's albums, background parts. We recently were featured on Todd Rundgren's Something Anything anniversary tribute album.
Wow, that's cool.
We played with a band called Secret Society, a song Todd recorded on the album called Dust in the Wind. Not the one that Kansas had the hit on. I think that Todd's is a better song, actually. The Kansas one is nice, but it's a little syrupy sometimes. But this one is beautiful. And Lisa and I are so used to this. We've been doing. We were musician friends before we were lovers, and we've been together for 22 years now. And we get we just kick into our vocal parts. I'll usually take the third, she'll take the fifth, and then we'll find everything else. Paul had a track on Paul Zolo on his new album, and Lisa and I did 42 vocal tracks on that thing.
Wow.
He wanted a choir, and that's what we gave him. So that's the kind of stuff.
What's it like working with Paul, our friend Paul?
I love working with Paul. He's a joy in my life and my best friend, really. I don't get to see him enough, but we're going to fix that.
You do a lot of session work too? Do you get hired to do session
vocals mostly?
Vocals.
There's a lot of guitar players out there.
Yes,
we're dime a dozen, but vocalists that can do the multi-harmonies, not so much. So we tend to get a lot of sessions for background vocals, which I love doing. You got to be the Motown singers, is kind of fun to be the Four Tops or what have you, you know.
If we were coming to your house and we were going to listen to what was sitting in your boombox or your stereo system or your iPod, whatever it may be, what would we find? What would be in your collection, Earl?
I am back into vinyl these days is my new extravagance. So I've been buying a lot of stuff on vinyl. You'd find a lot of Beatles. I just recently bought Richard Thompson's soundtrack that he did for Grizzly Man, came out on audiophile vinyl. And it just, Richard Thompson playing his amazing, you know, Stratocaster work with kind of just a little chamber group. You know, they have a rhythmatist and a cellist and a piano and bass player or stand-up bass. And that's kind of, he ran with that. And I guess that the producer, Werner Herzog, was just kind of standing over their shoulders the whole time, kind of directing them along with the film so that they would, but they improvised again, you know. I mean, they were pulling the music out of the sky, you know, and just kind of doing it in the studio for this film. And it's a delightful record. I highly recommend it. It's instrumental, but wonderful. If you like Richard Thompson,
I'm a big instrumental
prime
guy.
Richard.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I love instrumental. Sometimes, you know, you just let the instruments take you away. You know, it's just the instruments.
I love progressive rock, like
Yeah.
Christopher Squire of Yes was actually a close personal friend. We lost him about 7 years ago. Chris had a UFO sighting, a close encounter.
Did he really?
Well, he was on tour in 1977. He was peeing on a rock and he felt like somebody was watching him, and he looked up and there was a flying saucer hanging there. Went to its side like they do. We always hear this. It moved to its side and then it shot off like in the eye blink. You could you could see it was just like a little, you know, vanishing point dot, you know. And it really made quite the difference in Chris's life. He wrote a song called Aliens. It was about that. And what a fabulous bass player and musician was, and an intellectual and a sweet man. And I miss him. We would talk till 3 a.m. about UFOs sometimes. So there's music and UFOs intersecting again, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's amazing when you really think about it. Other than music and the UFO world, what are some other things that you like to do? What are some other hobbies and other things you like to do? Other interests that you have, Earl?
Oh, gee, well, you know, I was just talking about my record collection, and that's my new obsession, more or less rebuying everything that I already owned when I was a kid, but it's kind of fun listening to, you know, they kind of lied to us about CDs. I'm sorry, LPs just sound better if you have a good stereo.
Yeah.
You know,
I still have my Onkyo system, and I have my KLH speakers and the double cassette deck and the Onkyo stereo system and a climate controlled storage unit we pay for monthly that has hundreds of albums and reel-to-reels and cassettes and sealed LPs where you get them from collectors, and one is the one that you open and play, the other one you leave sealed for whatever reason, or you had transferred to CD but it doesn't sound. Remember, that was a big thing, is to take the LPs, they would get rid of the pops and scratches and turn it into CD quality. But there is, I
prefer the
different.
Pops and scratches
There's
to,
a warmth
to the sterile sound of digital.
Would you say you're an analog guy?
Yeah, I would. I would. I mean, I like what Jimmy Page did with the Led Zeppelin remixes and remasters, and he did that digitally, and they do sound really well. Sound great on vinyl, and you know, he did, but that's Jimmy Page. You know, he had an idea in mind, and he kept cracking the whip until he got it exactly. So most people just hand it to the engineer and they do whatever with it. So
and they'll do their thing with it.
Yeah,
right.
They've kind of lost. It's a lost art making LP records, but it's coming back, and the best stuff still comes out of Germany and Europe. You know, Canada is kind of getting up to square on it. Warner Brothers and Rhino Records put out beautiful sounding LP records. So that's a hobby. And what else? You know, I'm an avid reader. I read too much. I don't have time to read as much as I would want. And you know, a lot of classics or philosophy, or you know, enjoy reading even like, Aeschylus and the Greek poets and things like that. I find very interesting. Of course, love science fiction. I grew up on Ray Bradbury, Arthur C. Clarke, Asimov, and Heinlein. So yeah, I've got a nice. Tend to collect signed books now more than we apartment or condominium life here. I can't have the 4 shelves of library shelves of books anymore. So I have this guy behind me, which is my UFO library, and then I've got my fiction and literature and that you can't see that I'm looking at over there. But that I've always been an avid reader, and my kids and grandkids as well. So I guess we did that right. My parents did that right. Dr. Seuss. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, right?
Exactly right.
Get your kid hooked on that, and they'll be they'll be a college graduate.
Well, somebody who was with us this evening too, who always stops by, Mr. George Burns in the house with us.
Oh, I like that. Hi, George.
Isn't that great? He's got a cigar. There it is.
I got Jerry Garcia back there somewhere.
Do you really? Everybody, when we bring the George Burns out, everybody ends up bringing out their
I got my Beatle
dolls.
guys. Hold on.
Do you?
We'll just bring John Lennon out. There you go.
Yeah. There you go. John Lennon. There's George Burns.
Yeah. All right. We all live in a yellow submarine, folks. Got that back there too.
We've got Gilligan here too, and we have Don Fullilove, who played Goldie Wilson on Back to the Future.
Oh, Bob Denver was a local when I was growing up. He lived in Thousand Oaks, California.
Denver, yes. The Gilligan came from his lovely wife Dreama, who was a guest on our show a couple of times. She lives in West Virginia, which is where she hails from. So George pops in every once in a while towards the latter part, and he always likes to say that you knocked it out of the park, kiddo, and he really enjoyed it. And
Where's the cigar?
Right there.
Cigar. Oh, okay. He's got it. There it is. I told you it was ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Yeah.
This was a collectible. My aunt collected dolls, and when he turned 100, this specific collectible came out. So technically it should be not out like this. It should be in a plastic bag, in a box, and the whole thing. But
I do that too.
She collected them, and it got passed down to me. And 2 years ago, I just put him on one episode, and I brought out a lot of him I put on, but also we brought some childhood cast characters as well. And people still ask for them. And so he comes on to us the latter part to check in, and he thoroughly enjoyed himself.
I've got a George Burns story.
Do you?
Segue is a real quick one.
That's perfect.
One of my first gigs was with a black gospel band called the Glory Gospel Review. And we played places like the Aquarius Theater. We recorded an album at Warner Brothers. It was never released. Lawyers. We opened up for people like Billy Preston, Marvin Gaye, Al Green. We opened up for Al. We played the Watts Festival a couple of years in a row, but the movie Oh God was filmed over at their church where we used to practice. It was a 17-piece band. We had a horn section. We had a little choir. I was a guitar player, along with another gentleman that did more jazz style stuff. I handled more of the rock and roll kind of leads and things.
Yeah.
But George Burns from Oh God was in that church and I would look at the pew where he was standing the movie. And every single time, I would think, George Burns there, that's where he was, It's not a great story, but it was a segue.
That's perfect.
It was about music, not UFOs. So there you go, Paul Zollo.
We weaved it all in. Everybody was satisfied, all bases covered. What are some of the things that continue to bring you great blessing and joy in your life? And maybe what are some of the things as well that you've learned about yourself the last couple of years during this time to reboot and refresh and reconnect with life?
Well, my wife, Lisa, and who's also got a wonderful record called Whenever the Moon is Full by Lisa Johnson. You can find that on Amazon and Spotify and all the usual places. But, you find out how you are as a couple when you're forced into quarantine together for 2 years. But we found out that we cohabitate really, really well. She had to move her office into the house, and it was just really sweet, and just really a time where we, got very, even closer than we were. My kids make me very, very happy, and my grandchildren, my 3 grandkids, make me very happy. And I have so many things to be, thankful for, and I am. So that's what came to mind first when you brought that up.
Which is important to remember the things, as much as we get hung up on those little idiosyncrasies, and if our technology goes down or we get a flat tire, and, those are tough inconveniences, but in comparison to other options, those little blessings in this. I think one of the things that we realized about all of this, as I say, that I hope we can continue to rise from the ashes more kinder and more empathetic and less divisive and more unified in every aspect of life, because I think the world prefers to spin on its axis a lot smoother, and will, when things are kinder, more empathetic, when we're together. And we're meant to be that way. And I talk about that all the time because that's just, my gig. But I think that this has given us, as horrific as it's been, obviously, what we've experienced, at the same time, it's been a gift. There's been an opportunity presented to us to stop, pause, reevaluate, and sort of reapproach things in a different way that's more about each other as opposed to just self. And not everybody's following that. Just turn on the TV and you see
when it happens to your toe, it's called an ingrown toenail, right? And that happens when people become ingrown and don't think about others. It causes pain. It can even be physical manifestations of it. And we're doing what we're supposed to do, and we're thinking of others, and when we feel that connection with each other. And once I think that amplifies, I think that we'll be surprised. I think we'll be ready to meet our visitors face to face, and that it'll be more than just the hints that we got at this last congressional thing. I think that the ball is rolling. It's happening, and it's going to happen. Either that, or we're going to destroy ourselves. And so it better
start rolling faster then. Because
yeah, I know. I say that every day.
You turn on the news, and it's like every day.
agree.
That's what we're doing, is like
Yes.
getting closer to that sort of world, which is nuts. But this was great. I mean, conversations like this are really extraordinary. And one of the things that we love to do here at the Jim Master Show Live, like you and I were chatting before we went live, we don't really call this an interview show. We sort of hearkening back to Cavett, Dick Cavett, Johnny Carson, Merv, Mike Douglas, Regis.
Love that stuff.
Conversational, warm, all different topics, all different niches, no niche, and viewers watching live and interactive like our studio audience in a way, and taking it wherever we take it based on how we're feeling, what we're saying, what we're reacting to, keeping to a certain thrust of content, but weaving little tentacles around all of it, which I think is what we love to do here, while inspiring and entertaining. And we certainly, I think, we have done that together, as well our JMS Lovity Squad, as they've been commenting as well. This was really terrific, Earl, and I hope you come back. We'll definitely keep the porch light on for you. And any last words that you'd like to say about our conversation, the show? I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
I loved doing the show, and you were amicable, and your questions were wonderful. The man knows. I have to point this way. It's backwards. The man knows how to do an interview. That was very. All of your questions made sense, and they segued one into another. It was a plur, and I would love to come back. So, as far as any last words, if you see something in the sky, or something that sounds familiar to you that I was talking about on this show, you can go to MUFON.com. That's your source. I'm state director of California. We have state directors for all the states. We are also international, in Europe, Canada, and it's a worldwide organization, nonprofit. And our creed is the scientific study of UFOs for the benefit of humankind. And I think it's a good creed.
Is that it right there?
That's it. There you go, folks.
There's the spelling of it. There you go, gang.
Yeah, the Mutual UFO Network. We've been doing the Air Force's job since 1969. There you go.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I tell you, it's really incredible. Jim Lucier says, I'm now a fan. Can't wait for the next episode. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate
Thank you, Jim.
that. From one Jim to another. You got a great first name there. Awesome show, Jim and Earl. And he also said, it's been a fantastic show. Thanks to Earl Grey, who introduced me to the show. Thank you, Earl, for spreading the word about the Jim Masters show live. I really appreciate that. Linda says, thank you, Earl, for sharing your music and your video and the career, playing live for us as well, which was really generous of you.
Thank you, Linda.
Maureen says, we sweat the small stuff way too often. Look for the silver lining in each roadblock. Maureen is the JMS Lovato who just retired after many years as a nurse herself in Arizona. In beautiful Arizona.
I used to spend summers in Tucson. I love Arizona. So there you are.
Did you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen in New York City says, thanks for being here with us. Interesting show. She loved it in New York City. Jane in Sweden as well. Thank you, Earl, for being with us tonight. Really interesting. Thanks, Jim, for having him on the show. My pleasure. And it's quite late there in Sweden.
I imagine so. Oh, yeah.
Nikki says, thank you, Jim, for bringing Earl to Lovato Hall today. It is good to open the mind.
There you go. Thank you.
Jen Barry says, Earl, thanks for spending time with us tonight. Come back soon. Absolutely.
Thank you, Jen. I loved hearing your story, Jen. You're not the only one. I've heard a similar story many times. So,
absolutely. Thank you, Jim and Linda. Thanks, Jim, for having Earl on your show. And 3:03 a.m. in Sweden.
Goodness gracious! Well, you're a hardy one there.
I was going to say, you and I had chatted. Oh, maybe we'll chat for an hour or what have you. It's actually exactly 2 hours.
How about that?
And it didn't feel like it, did it?
No,
everybody
not
says
at all.
It just
not at all.
Just let it roll and just let it create on its own. You know what I mean? Let it sort of.
I'm honored that you spent 2 hours with me and that you had me on your show, and I'd love to come back, Jim. So anytime, just let me know.
Absolutely. And we appreciate our friend Paul for tuning in and being with us, and spread the word. If you know other folks you think would like to hop on, they're welcome as well, my friend.
Certainly. I'll have a couple of people for you. So
fantastic. All right. They can come from anywhere too. I mean, if they come from different
outer
galaxies,
space.
I mean, yeah, sure. At this point,
they came from outer space.
Sometimes there might be benefit to that.
Yeah.
Have you been on the highway during? There was high traffic pattern times, rush hour.
Yeah.
I think there's a UFO too driving those vehicles.
I have an aerospace engineer friend that I know outside of ufology. He's another progressive rock guy, and he and his father were driving in a convertible near LAX, and one of those black triangles flew over him. He did not expect that and didn't necessarily believe that such a thing existed. But seeing is believing, you guys. So,
well, one of the reasons why I think sometimes there are some UFOs that are driving during rush hour or anytime, because right now everybody, you see the way people are driving. I mean, they're going.
Oh yeah,
the speed limit is 65. They're going 90. They're cutting you off. They're tailgating. Yeah. Everybody's angry. Everybody's like, it's like caged animals have been released. Now, hey, we've all been in the houses. We've all gone through it the last 2 years, but I didn't come out of the gate angry and move out of my way because of the time loss. I'm like, no, that's not the case. But a lot of people are doing that, and they're driving
twice as safe as before.
Yeah,
just scared everybody. So because they drive so bad.
The reason why I said I think that it seems like sometimes there's UFOs that are sometimes in the cars that are driving these days during rush hour, is because for some reason you end up saying UF something when they cut you off. Right?
Yeah, well,
So it's
use
kind of
highway
like,
telepathy. Next time, what you do is think nicely to the person and direct your thoughts and say, "Would you please move your car over a little bit, or
it
go a
always
little
goes with
faster, or go
UF, but
slow?"
the next one is never O.
Yeah. Well, you got to change it from the UF to the UFO, and then think, send those telepathic thoughts to and get them to move into another lane that way. It's a good practice. We have to learn how to do that anyway, you guys. So there you are.
UF. Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
that is funny.
goodness.
Jim's enjoying it. Ha ha ha.
Yes.
You got to have some humor. That's one of the things I like
Yeah.
to slip in. My Irish humor comes in every once in a
Oh,
while.
yeah. I'm
This
Irish
thing-
too, so there you
Oh,
go.
yeah. So the wit and wisdom of it, it just flows. I have no control.
Yep.
This has
Yep.
been an exceptional show, entertaining and informative. So fascinating. Thanks, Jim and Earl, for the wonderful conversation and music. Thank you as
Thank
well.
you so much.
And continue to support us, everybody. You can do the super thanks. That's the little heart icon on our YouTube channel. Supports us. Super chats, super emojis, super stickers. Spread the word. Tell everybody about our show. Share the links. Subscribe to our channel. That's what helps us grow. That's what helps us continue to do all of this. Thank you, Maureen. Oh, my God. When you hear that, it's like sit up straight, like a school teacher just said. That is funny. You guys look at this. They're loving that, huh? Yeah, humor is awesome. You got to laugh. You got to laugh.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll leave them
Gang,
laughing.
you guys
There
are now when they're driving, they're going to think of
Make
the
them
UFO
laugh.
thing.
Make them laugh. Right.
You're the best, Earl. Thanks for all the time, and it was really a pleasure. And we'll stay connected and hopefully break bread soon. It'll be really nice to do with Paul at some point. All of us.
Heck yeah,
how cool that would be, huh?
That would be great. I'd love to do that. So there you go.
You be well, my friend, and stop by anytime, and we'll chat again soon. You take care and be well, okay?
Thank you so much, and thank you, Lovities out there. You guys have a beautiful week and weekend that's coming up, huh?
You too. All right, take care. Cheers, my friend. Bye-bye now. Earl Grey Anderson on the Jim Masters Show live, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, with humor and music and all kinds of incredible conversation, as we knew we would have. And as we promised, we always try to deliver on our promises here on our show. And sometimes, oftentimes we try to exceed them as well. And I think on this one we did, as we do with hopefully all of them for you. Earl Grey Anderson here on the show, live and direct from LA, singer, songwriter, guitarist extraordinaire, retired nurse, and UFO investigator. Fascinating conversation about the UFO world, yes. Also weaving in the music and the conversation, what inspires him to write music and play and to perform, because that's very healing and inspiring and connecting as well. And if you've seen him maybe on some of those television specials and shows and things of that nature and Travel Channel and other areas, now you know the man behind it all. And I think that's kind of cool, right? Some interesting stories about some of the photos that we shared with all of you as well. And if you missed any of it, we showed some videos. He played live for us. And we had some epic conversation too, as we always do. As I say, we don't script these shows. You know, a lot of things out there are scripted. A lot of things out there are just sort of like a podcast interview type thing. That's not what we do here. We do really, it's like an entertainment lifestyle variety talk show series that a lot of people grew up with on TV, the Dick Cavetts, the Carsons, where they talked and you learn things and you have a lot of laughs and there's entertainment and we're all involved together. That's what we like to do here. This is a very different kind of series that we do here at the Jim Masters Show Live. It's the way I wanted it to be created. I didn't want to just do interview, next interview, next interview. I've done years of that in my career in television, radio. I like a show that sort of evolves as we're talking, evolves with our viewers watching interactive and our guests that come from a whole host of different areas of life, not just science or health and wellness or actors and actresses, musicians, sports stars, comedians, food experts, really all about life. Every show is something different. I know they say we're supposed to be in a niche type of world. Well, just pick that lane and stay in that lane and just I think that life is an ongoing learning experience, and there might be little nuggets from every episode of the Jim Master Show Life series that you're picking up, that you're enjoying, and maybe at first you're like, well, gee, that's not something I really thought I would be that interested in, and then you get immersed in the conversation, the flow, whatever it is we're bringing to the table, the surprises that happen during the show. And then maybe you've added this to your repertoire of conversations you have now about things you've seen here on the Jim Master Show Live experience, filled with all that levity that you guys talk so much about, which is really, really a great thing. That's the bonus of this levity vibe we have here. The levity vibe. Let's try to say that 5 times fast. levity. So be in there somewhere. Yeah, in the word vibe, there's be. Truly impressive. Thank you very much, Nikki. Kathleen says, thanks, Jim. Great show. Thank you very, very much. And good night, Earl. Have you ever seen that ad on TV when the teacher yells, sit up straight? Yes. Yes. Pam with us. Good to see you, Pam. One of our loveties here on the Jim Master Show Live. She's here often. We love that. Good night, everyone from Crystal. Good to see you as well. And you guys are fantastic. Some really, really cool stuff. Jen says, thanks, Jim and Earl. And absolutely, Earl, even thanking everybody as well. That's multitasking, right? Kind of like I do. Oh, yes. Pam says her mother worked for NASA for 38 years. Wow, that's fantastic. Wow. That's amazing. Jim says, you bet humor is awesome. Yes, it is. You need to have that. Yeah. Nikki says, it was good to be here. I wish you all a blessed evening. You know what? Guess what? It just happened to work out this way, gang. This actually wasn't pre-programmed, but this just happens to be working out this way, that tomorrow's guest is Jimmy Boots Finfera, paranormal investigator, retired bounty hunter, reality TV and documentary producer. He is the brother. Do you remember we've had on twice from Los Angeles, California, Joe Finfera, the actor who's on television, film. You see him in commercials. Joe Finfera. His brother, Jimmy Boots Finfera, is coming on the show tomorrow, and he's a paranormal investigator and retired bounty hunter. That's going to be a fascinating conversation, and so much more. Seems like we're on a little bit of a theme here. It just so happens that he is on tomorrow night. That's going to be an amazing conversation. So again, you remember Joe Finfera was a guest on our show, right? Well, guess what? His brother, Jimmy Boots Finfera, is going to be with us tomorrow, and that's going to be fascinating. Join us. Now, that's going to start at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We start our summer hours in June. So our show will be 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So you can enjoy more of the daylight and the sunlight that is happening outside. So that's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. If you miss it live, you can always see it archived on our YouTube channel. Did you see when Lucy Arnaz was with us the other day, last week? We had such an extraordinary conversation with my friend Lucy. Stopped by. It was really amazing. It was extended. We chatted for about 2 hours. That's exclusive. And it was really wonderful. You missed that. Check it out. Joanna Gleason, Tony Award-winning actress and singer, was with us recently. If you didn't see that episode, check that out as well. And about almost 700 more episodes you can binge watch of the Jim Masters Show series here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We thank Earl Grey Anderson for joining us today. We really appreciate him being here, and everybody that was joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up like. There's a thumbs up icon on our YouTube channel. It looks just like that. Click it and leave a comment on our YouTube channel as well. That helps us big time when you leave a comment on the actual channel. And if you didn't subscribe, We would love it if you do that. That helps us as well. There's no cost to do that. You just hit that red button that says subscribe, and that is it. You are part of the Jim Masters Show family here. When you subscribe, it also lets you chat in the chat room when the show is live. And also, don't forget to click the notification bell icon. There's a little bell icon next to that subscribe button. Click that. So that way there you can keep abreast. You get notifications from us on all the episodes, all the surprises, all the special things we do, pop-up shows, and all kinds of cool things we do here for all of you here at the Jim Masters Show Live. Thanks for all the comments, everybody, and those of you who, just expressed how much you're enjoying the show. Nikki says, truly impressive. Looks like she was loath to quit. I wonder who you're talking about. No, we got to scroll up to see what that's tied to. Thank you very much, Kathleen. Thank you very much. Till she was 82. Okay, so now I get it. Your mother worked 38 years at NASA till she was 82. Then we bring this one up. Truly impressive. Looks like she was loath to quit. That makes sense. You guys are funny. All right, gang. A couple more here, and then you're very welcome, Pam. Thank you. Wow, it's been an interesting show. And tomorrow, interesting as well. Yes, yes. Pam says, I'm not a niche person either. I know sometimes we have niches, but I like variety. And a lot of those talk shows of the past were all about variety, something different guests, different topics, all about life. Talk about synchronicity. I know with the two things like this, it just happened to be that way. And I think it's really, really cool. You guys are the best. We have such a phenomenal audience, I was going to say. A phenomenal audience. I'm trying to talk and reading all these great comments that are coming in here. I see them on this screen. You see them on that screen. I see them in the chat here. It's so nice. Wonderful show. I love Earl and his music tonight. That's awesome. Thank you, Crystal. I know, Crystal, you were with us in the very beginning, right? You typed a comment, but way before the show even started, I think, which was really, really nice. I don't know if we can scroll that far back, can we? And thank you, Paul. We love Paul Zolo back. He's a great, great guy, a fantastic music legend himself. And he was a guest on our show. He's going to be coming back as well. Thank you, Earl. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Jim. Happy to be here as always. Have a great night. Good night, all. For those of you not watching live, we will be staying right here with another episode. So don't go anywhere. For those that are not watching this live, there's many, many episodes for you to binge watch and enjoy. Good night, Jim. Yes, you got it. Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate that. Good stuff. All right. There's so many comments. I think they're coming in delayed. Another great actress, my friend Lucy, and then probably Joanna Gleason and many, many more. Marianne Ross was with us from Happy Days and so much more. All right, gang, as you know, or if you're watching for the first time, we don't say goodbye here. We say see you later. We say moi loop, which in African means walk well. We say slancha. We say cheers. We say hasta la vista, wiedersehen, sayonara, all the rest. But we don't say goodbye because we will be back here with another episode coming up. Either right now, or if you're staying on our YouTube channel, you're going to check out some previous episodes, binge watch, filter through, look at some of the great episodes that you might have missed, or episodes you didn't know we even did, or you want to see again right here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, for you. All right. And then, of course, we'll be back live tomorrow for those who are watching live. We'll be here at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. We love you all. Thanks for being with us here on this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. For all of us here, you guys be well. Take care of one another. Love one another. And let's see. Sherry says here, have a great Wednesday, everyone. Sweet dreams. Sending love and hugs. Thank you, Sherry in Kansas, who's very good about... She's so efficient with sharing the links to the shows. She sometimes shares them even before we do. She's on it. She is our Midwestern gal, and she is on it, sharing the links on all her social media, spreading the word about our episodes. We love Sherry there in Kansas. We've duly noted everything she's doing. and we thank her as well. Thank you, Pam, as well, for being with us here on the show. We'll see you on the next one, gang. We love you all. Take care. Be well. Be good to one another. Love one another. This is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you and you and you and you for your time this time till next time. I'll be right here waiting for you. As Richard Marx said in that 1980s song, right here waiting for you and you and you. Sherry Larson says, that's what happens when you wake up at 4 a.m. Yeah, sometimes you're 4 a.m, you're sharing the links, which I think is cool. 4 for you is 5 for us, because I believe you're an hour, you're central, right? And we're Eastern time. So you're up at the crack of dawn. And before you even have your bowl of cereal, you share the links to the Jim Masters Show Live. You're the best, Sherry Larson. We appreciate that. All right, gang. Frivolity, we're going to wrap. And we'll see you guys on the next one, okay? Our goodbyes are never goodbyes. So we call them see you laters, but they take 20 minutes, like a goodbye. You guys are trying to figure out how to use all the emojis, right? Some of you guys are really good at the emojis, and some of you are trying to figure it out. Like Pam does a double thumbs up. That's right. Give us a thumbs up on our YouTube channel and leave a comment for us as well. We'll see you on the next one. All right. Take care. Thanks for being with us. This was another fantastic episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. We'll see you all soon. Okay. Take care. Cheers.